As it relates to self-awareness and effective leadership, it kind of helps that person, I guess, figure out what their personal strengths are or their opportunities, what they could do to impact others. Um, Most leaders, when they develop their self-awareness, it's a whole lot of um, looking within. So they kind of ask themselves questions and kind of look for feedback and really being open to whoever's talking to them and what they say.
Mhm.
They have to be able to absorb that information in a positive sense rather than, oh, you know, he's beating me up or she's beating me up type things. You know, most of them who find themselves being self-aware, you see them building better, stronger, long-term relationships and making better decisions. And overall, the camaraderie or the team cohesiveness just makes for a better, easy, fluid, positive work environment. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. When I think about self-awareness and leadership, I tend to think back to when you're building a team and how you need to be strategic about who you hire, especially when you're in like senior leadership, because you may be responsible for things that you're not necessarily a subject matter expert in. So being able to have that self-awareness that you don't know everything and that's okay, and learning that it's okay to trust people who are subject matter experts
Right.
around you without feeling threatened. Um,
And that's the biggest thing, to not have that ego and feel threatened. There's a certain level of pride that some people have, which is great, but then they get that pride ego mesh and they just don't want to hear anything from anybody. It's almost like, remember the old saying, you never listen to respond, you listen to understand. And I think that's part of the whole self-awareness piece, because you get a lot of younger ones, they get into this mode where they listen, 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 and then all of a sudden they fire off. And when you have those conversations, they think you're beating them up, and in all actuality, you're not. You're trying to help them. You're trying to bring exactly what we're talking about. That self-awareness. Sometimes it takes them a little bit longer than others, but at the end of the day, how you communicate that to him or her is what's going to make the difference. That'll really open their eyes, and you'll see the aha moment in their little heads pop off, and you're like, oh, there it is.
I could see that. I know that a part of being a leader or even a manager really is just learning how to listen and not, like you said, listening to respond, or when you hear somebody but you don't actually listen, if that makes any sense. Like you're busy thinking about what your response is going to be rather than hearing the message.
Oh, that's a huge problem, and that's just not the newer, younger ones. That's everybody, Nicole. I mean, you get a lot of them that just have that puff of the chest mentality where they're waiting, wait, and then they give you that quick jab. You're like, dude, did you just hear anything I just said to you? I mean, another big piece.
It kind of goes back to not being the smartest person in the room or having your ego. Like when I think of strong leaders, they don't mind when they're not the smartest person in the room. They're not threatened by somebody knowing more than they do about something. Like they
Yeah,
welcome that. Like they know like that's a blind spot for me, or that's something that I'm not, 100% on, or, familiar with. And they leave it to the person who is familiar to provide, direction and suggestions.
yeah. It's funny you said that, because I was just talking to somebody this week with my travels, and the conversation came up about being smart, or we all have our niches, but at the end of the day, I never want to be the smartest person in the room, because that means I'm not learning anything. And that's some people's issue. They want to be the smartest person in the room, and if they're not, they want to make it sound like they're the smartest person in the room, and that's where they need somebody to help them find their self-awareness.